Hi, Christy here. I have my Akashic records open and I want to start our exploration today with civility versus politeness. So I went to a Braver Angels live webinar over the weekend and there were 3 different panel discussions. And in one of those discussions, one of the people brought up this question of what's civility versus what's politeness. And I thought it would be very interesting to get the records perspective on it. So when I look at this in the record, there's really a sense that politeness is largely a sort of management strategy. It is a way to prevent things being controversial, trying to keep things sort of capped, versus civility being inherent respect. I'm supposed to have this muted when I'm recording. An inherent respect for other people, that it's based on honoring each other and not on just trying to avoid making waves, for example. It doesn't mean we want to go off and be rude, the opposite of polite, but it also speaks to, can we be more authentic? Not in a hateful, dramatic way, but in a, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what's important to me. I am sharing with you what is in my heart, what is in my thoughts. Of course, we always filter our thoughts. We're not just gonna, spew every crazy thing that comes into our head. But ones that are really aligned with us. If we're in civility, we can be, if we feel comfortable in civility, we can share that. The whole webinar was very helpful, I thought, and very interesting. And I don't know if they've published it publicly yet, but I'll put it in the comments. The organization is a bipartisan organization. It's like no more than 60-40 skew of Republicans versus Democrats versus Republicans. They want to keep, people talking that have differences of opinion, not hatred towards each other. One of the big takeaways I got from the discussion, and I know I've gone off on a tangent a little bit here, is that so much of what we're being driven toward is outrage. So if there's something outrageous, it gets reported. And then we get outraged about how outrageous it is, and then that gets reported. And there's like this churn of outrage driving outrage. We know the social media algorithms reward that. If that is high quality, or at least high response, reaction to what's going on, versus, oh, look at this lovely thing. Look at the ducks. I mean, there are certainly cat videos that I'm sure have gotten a lot of traction, but in the political realm, it really is less about shaking hands and more about shaking fists. That's what I just heard in the records. So the more we can lean into the things that feel true for us, and not the things where we feel like we've been sort of pushed to, come on, react, come on. I want to trigger you. I want to get you to respond in a way that feeds my algorithm, that then feeds my pockets. By my, I mean social media. I don't mean my pockets. Although, for someone who is an influencer, that kind of attention also drives profits. So the outrage machine is part of what's going on here for the lack of civility. Because if you're outraged, you're probably not your most civil self. You probably aren't feeling respect for the other person. And the other person probably isn't feeling respect for you. And so there we go. We've got the machine running, we got the churn going. And only until one person or both people say, ooh, I'm stepping away from this. This is not what I want to be doing. does something shift. And that's something that we're not accustomed to doing. We're used to being in the churn, letting it run and letting it run us just because that's sort of the default. So getting back to civility is tricky. You know, they recommended, one of the panels recommended, you know, work in your community, do what you can to connect with others locally. They had a term I've never heard of before called porching. I suppose I'm giving you some spoilers if you want to watch the webinar. But the idea is that, you know, invite people on your porch, have conversations, and see how that goes. I mean, for those of us who are introverts, who are not naturally inclined to like, hey, come on over, it's a little more tricky. But if someone welcomes you, like someone were to invite you to their porch, maybe you say, oh, sure, you know, it's not something I would naturally do, but I would love to get to know my neighbors or my people in my community, so that you can build this sort of civility foundation so that your go-to is more likely to be trusting and feel trustworthy than to feel so vulnerable to triggering that immediately, like, I don't trust them and I can't have anything to do with them. All right, I think that's enough of that for now. I would love to hear in the comments below if you have any thoughts on civility versus politeness. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. In the meantime, please go be brilliant.